Hello there. Once again, it's Dan Town from Antonio Bay. Thank you for stopping by the collection room on this beautiful afternoon. Today, I'm looking at some Nexus comics. Nexus is a weird title. It's done by First Comics. I have so far looked at issues 1 through 5 that were published by Capital Comics, 1 through 8, which they transferred over, and now they're being published by First. So this is 9 through 12, and let's take a look. First thing you'll notice is that Nexus has amazing covers. And you'll be surrounded by weird sci-fi stuff that you don't understand. And how they did these covers, I'm not even sure. Yeah, this is 1985. So this is not any kind of computer coloring. It's not any kind of AI art. It's just beautifully done artistry. And then inside you get this completely different but equally maniacal color palette that just pops like crazy. And all of them are this way. I've been impressed with all of them. So you get massively weird colors on the outside that are just like, it's like I don't even know how they did it back then. But inside you get a lot of very expressive faces, beautifully done colors, arts, renderings, and just an amazing science fiction world that is so quirky and so fun and so, dare I say, original. Like, I know it borrows from a lot of other places and elements, but if the 50s happened in the future in space, that's what I feel is going on in this book. And it's a beautiful book. A lot of interesting stories, tons of weird characters. Weird things happen. And Nexus is a fairly famous celebrity. Most people know who he is. So he's wearing a mask, but he doesn't have like a secret identity. He's a guy and everybody knows who he is. So he has different people he runs into, including a guy who looks kind of like a big monkey dude, whose name I can't remember right now, but that's besides the point. But a pretty broad and bizarre cast of characters. Mauser story. E-Man. This is from the company that brought you Shattered. Let's see, what else was First making that was just like unbelievably awesome? I'm trying to think here. I know First did some really, really good reprints of the early Ninja Turtle work. They do Badger stuff. Oh, come on. All of it's escaping my brain. First Publishing. They did a bunch of stuff that I enjoy. Nothing I enjoy quite as much as Nexus covers. Sorry. Little hiccup there. Yeah, just beautiful books. And from what I can tell, it's like the same artist the whole way through, because I think I got a good 50 issues of this series, and like the art never falters. It always stays like really strong. Other books that I would compare this one to: Solar, Man of the Atom, a little bit, and the other Valiant book, Magnus Robot Fighter. Both of those would be kind of along the same lines, but even those don't get as weird as Nexus tends to, nor as quirky. I mean, there's definitely a quirky, funny, lighthearted aspect to all of this, which they kind of balance, kind of like Judge Dredd. They're very, very dark, topically, but then they're also like super goofy sometimes, and it almost clashes. But this book manages to like pack it together very well. As I'm looking through it, it kind of reminds me of another series. I think it was done by Eclipse, called Zot. So if you're a Zot fan, this would be in the same vein. Crazy sci-fi stories, crazy stuff going on. I mean, that's some pretty neat stuff. Another book that would probably conjure some recollection to this is another book I do enjoy, which is Legionnaires and Legion of Superheroes. because you're dealing with weird aliens, you're dealing with space, you're dealing with a whole host of characters that you don't know, and future tech that you got to kind of understand. And it has a similar amazing stylized, hey, there's American flag, graphic novel. Hard Times. Anyway, First was doing some pretty awesome stuff back then. Considering Time Beavers, never heard of that one. Anyway, a truly beautiful book. I could say that like a cajillion times, but that's pretty much the gist of it. And I don't think I've ever seen one on a shelf anywhere. In fact, I don't know that I've ever bought a Nexus. Hey, look, it's Bebop before he was transformed. I'm trying to think if I've ever seen a Nexus comic in a comic book store. I'm trying to think of where these even come from. I think most of them I have ever seen or acquired came in either lots that I had to seek out online. We have somebody different doing the covers here. Still a dynamic cover, but like the color, the painting on it, or the finish is a little bit different than some of the hyper airbrushed look of some of the others. But yeah, I'm even trying to, I think the first time I ever saw an issue of Nexus was in a 3-pack that I bought at a Benjamin Franklin's. If you remember what Benjamin Franklin's are. Me and my brother bought probably a total of maybe 3 of these 3-packs for $1 mystery bags of comics. And it introduced us to some of the weirdest stuff we'd ever seen in our lives. That was where I first saw Nexus. That was where we first saw an issue of Den, which if you've never seen Den, the art is amazing. I'm trying to think of the guy who drew it. I can't remember. That's where we saw Nemesis the Warlock for the first time. We saw one of those comics in those bags. It was where I got my first issue of Femforce, was in one of those bags. Those were some of the most amazing, eye-opening things that we ever had, and introduced us to a world of comics that we had no idea existed. And the thing is where we were living in a small town in Nebraska, there was no stores carrying these. There was no stores within driving distance that carried these. Let's face it, we would have had to probably drive over 2 hours, and at that point we didn't even drive. So it wasn't until the mid-90s when I started running up to Lincoln, which was at that point about 100 miles one way, to go to a comic book store and buy books. So that's a long story of comic book hunting that I will get into one day maybe, but needless to say, books like Nexus were not anything that I ever saw, was aware of, or was able to get my hands on in the time it was created. And I didn't have any access, knowledge, or ability to get any until, shoot, the internet would have had to be in place probably my mid-20s to early 30s before I even remembered that they existed and started hunting them down. Anyway, that's my story. That's what I got. If you guys know more about Nexus, you like it, you're interested, I'm going to probably keep cranking out a few videos on Nexus just to kind of look at what these issues were. But if you're interested in any other titles, look through my backlog. There is a lot of old videos featuring hundreds and hundreds of comics that you've probably never heard of or are not very common. Either way, I appreciate it you taking a look. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.